Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. This is Steven Worldwide, and it's been a while since I did an update about my life teaching English in Asia, overseas. I'm in Japan. I'm still in Japan, but some changes have happened recently in my life, and I think now is a good time to tell you all about it. It has been a while since my last update. Last year, I hiked Mount Fuji. That was a huge event. That's something that I was thinking about my whole life, imagining if I can hike that beautiful Mount Fuji, but it was not so beautiful once I was there and hiking it. And if you want to know about the whole story of why it was such a miserable experience in my life, one that I'll never forget, watch that video. But since then, a lot has happened. And just to make a long story short, I don't want this update to be a half an hour long. I want it to be a little bit shorter. I have moved to a different city. I don't live in Tokyo anymore. My first 5 years, I was living in the Tokyo area. When I first came to Japan, it was 2018 in the spring, and I was living in Saitama and teaching at a university for about 3 months. Then a lot of stuff happened then. I made a lot of update videos. At that time, I made something like 20 update videos. Almost every day I was making a video when I was walking to work. And those are interesting if you want to go back and watch those, if you somehow missed those on my channel. Talk about all kinds of stuff, mostly my experience teaching English for 8 years in South Korea. And then when I was new in Japan, I was all excited and making update videos every day. And then doing that cost me my first job in Japan. There's a whole video about that. I'm not going to get into that deeply, but I was able to find a new job after that. I've been working there and I still work for the same company since that time, since about November 2018. I got a great apartment in Tokyo in a very kind of the middle of Tokyo, and I was living there for 3 years. I was really enjoying it. And then the pandemic hit, the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and things just got, as you know, as the whole world knows, things just got really boring. Staying at home a lot, not allowed to travel easily, everything just got blah. And life was just kind of going to work every day, coming back home to the apartment, going to work every day, coming back home to the apartment. I wasn't motivated to make any videos or really just do anything exciting. I did travel around a lot in Japan. I stayed in Japan and I hit a lot of the cities and I hit a lot of the sites that I had wanted to see and just check off my list of things to do in Japan. And I was able to do that. When I made that Mount Fuji video last year, I was living in an apartment in Tokyo. I moved out of that apartment because I had no choice. They were going to knock down that building, and I knew that I can only spend 1 year there. So when that year ended, I moved to a different apartment in a different area of Tokyo. Now, I was living there with my girlfriend at the time, but after so many months, I just didn't feel good about it. I didn't feel myself. That kind of a lifestyle, it just wasn't for me, and I wanted to make a change. So I moved out and I moved to a new apartment in a different city. And now I live in Fukuoka, Japan. So I'm back to where I was like before. I'm living by myself in my own apartment in Japan, just not in Tokyo. This city is called Fukuoka and it's in Kyushu. And Kyushu is a big island that's on the southeast side of Japan. It's actually very close to Korea. Busan is only 3 hours away by boat. Now you're probably wondering, why did I move to Fukuoka? Why Fukuoka? And my Fukuoka story actually goes back 12 years. When I was living in Korea, when I first started teaching in 2010, the next year, 2011, I visited Japan for the first time. And I visited Japan by boat from Busan to Fukuoka. So Fukuoka was my first journey into Japan. My first impression of Japan was walking around the streets of Fukuoka with my friend who was teaching English, my friend George, who was teaching English in Korea with me. And it was just awesome. I just remember being amazed by seeing Japan and then kind of comparing it to Korea for the first time. And I loved it. And I always thought to myself, wouldn't it be great to live in this city and maybe teach English here someday? Fast forward 6, 7 years later, I moved to Japan, but I went to Tokyo. In Tokyo, I always thought to myself, where will I live next? Possibly Osaka or Fukuoka. And when the pandemic hit, I just stayed in Tokyo for the whole job security thing. Times were tough then, as everybody knows, and I didn't think it would be a good idea to just jump from Tokyo to Fukuoka during the pandemic. Luckily, the seriousness of the pandemic has passed. and things have opened up a lot. Tourists can now travel to Japan. Before they couldn't for a few years. Nobody could come in. And now is a good time to move to Fukuoka. And not only that, but my office where I was working for this company in Tokyo closed. They are consolidating a lot of the offices because of the pandemic and because of the hit it took to businesses. They had to change their policies and the way that they operate. And my company just consolidated a lot of offices, and they were closing my office, and they said, you have to choose another office to work in. You have your job, you can stay with the company, but where would you like to work? And I said, can it be anywhere in Japan? Because I want to go to Fukuoka. So that's how I got to Fukuoka. And this happened about 2 weeks ago. I just got to this new apartment where I am right now. I'm in my dining room. This is the wall right behind me because the lighting is best right here. I have my laptop, and you're going to see my new apartment tour. I already prepared that video. It's ready to go. I just wanted to release this update first about my life before I put that apartment tour video up on my YouTube. Basically, I still work for the same company. It's about 5 years now going. Same company. I'm teaching English, but I'm teaching English to mainly adults. I'm teaching business English. A lot of my customers or students are learning English so that they can further their career. Either they're transferring to another branch, their company has a branch in Singapore or London or New York or San Francisco, for example, and they really want to improve their English skills for working with overseas customers and coworkers, or they want to practice job interviews, or they want to give a presentation to coworkers or clients, for example. These are just some of the things that I help my students, how I help my students improve their careers with English. I do still teach kids. My company does have a young learners program and a program for teens. So it's nice to still teach kids like I was doing in South Korea. The difference is I'm not in a classroom with 10 to 15 kids anymore. It's usually just a group of two or one kid sitting across the table from me. And let me tell you, without all the discipline problems, it's so easy to teach a lesson with one cute kid sitting on the other end of the table. They listen to you, they do what you ask them to do, they're interested, engage much more with the teacher instead of worrying about their friends or their students in class. And it's just really great. That's why I've kept this job for 5 years. It's really relaxing. There's not a lot of stress. The company basically takes good care of me. But when you work for a company, you do have issues with coworkers and with management and the policies of the company. And I'm not making a whole lot of money like I was in Korea. Not to get into it deeply, but in Korea, I had a lot of free time. So I can use that time to make a lot of extra money with private teaching, or I can spend my time doing activities like making videos, going to meetups, organizing meetups, or traveling, or studying languages like Korean. But here in Japan, I just don't have a lot of extra time to do all that fun stuff. So my Japanese skills are not what they should be. My Korean is still much, much better than my Japanese. One of my hopes going forward, now that I'm living in Fukuoka and working in the Fukuoka branch for my company, is to maybe change my contract and scale it back a little bit. So I teach 10 40-minute lessons a day. And I think to anybody that just sounds like a lot. And it is a lot, but I've been doing it for so long that it's just kind of normal to me. I'm not taking any homework home to do. I'm not grading papers or grading tests or anything with this company. I just show up and do a good job teaching in the class with my students and customers, and then I go home. However, it takes up a lot of time during the day. It's like an 8 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock job. It just, you're wiped out at the end of the day, and there's not a lot of free time to do anything. So for the first 2 years working for this company, I was teaching on Saturdays and Sundays. This is not really a school, it's a company, it's a service, and it's open 7 days a week, from about 8 in the morning until 9 p.m. at night. And my schedule was Wednesday through Sunday. After 2 years, I got my Sundays back. My schedule changed from Tuesdays to Saturdays. Now that I'm living in Fukuoka, my schedule changed again, and I get my whole weekends back. So now I'm teaching like everybody else. I'm working Monday to Friday, and my hours are about noon to 9 p.m. So I have my weekends and I have my mornings free. So I want to maybe change my contract with this company, and I want to cut it back. Instead of 10 lessons a day, I'd like it to cut it back to 8 or 6. I want to cut it back so that I have other opportunities to do other things in my life and enjoy my life. I want to do some things on the side, money making and enjoyment opportunities on the side, like teaching English or things online that I enjoy doing, and then still keep my job in good standing with this company I work for. In Japan, it's different than Korea in that you really need to be supported by your company to pay the high fees of the medical insurance. In Korea, if you're looking for a job, for example, and you're not working for a company, you're in between jobs, you don't have to pay your medical insurance, but not so in Japan. Whenever you live in Japan, you have to contribute to the medical system. Think like $300 or $400 a month. Now, your company splits that with you. I think, I'm not exactly sure if that's the right quote, how much it costs, but the company splits that with you. So that's one of the reasons why I'm still with the same company after 5 years, is because of this job security, and the company pays for these expenses of living in Japan. So if I'm able to cut my contract back and I'm just teaching 6 to 8 lessons a day, hopefully that'll free up an extra hour or two in my day where I can do something else like take language lessons or develop more opportunities online for teaching, or my hobby of collecting fragrances. I have another YouTube channel where I talk about my hobby of collecting fragrances. And I plan on doing something more with my fragrance collecting and buying and selling of my fragrances later on after I'm done with this teaching English in Asia career. Actually, I figure I can always teach English anywhere in the world with online teaching, because online teaching really became more prominent during the COVID pandemic. So I have a lot of time of teaching Zoom lessons, and my company does Zoom lessons as well. I teach about 60% face-to-face lessons and like 40% Zoom lessons. So I feel like I can do this even when I'm an old fogey living in America again. Well, that's it for now. There's so much more I want to tell you about that's going on in my life, but for now, just this update to bring you up to speed to where I am today, living in Fukuoka, Japan, working for the same company, teaching English, business English to adults mainly. Happy with my life, happy with what I'm doing and the choices I've made. And as for the future with this channel, don't get your hopes up, but maybe, just maybe, I'll do some more video blogging now that I live in Fukuoka. I love the city. I haven't even talked about Fukuoka. Maybe I'll wait till another video and tell you what I really like about this city. I told you why I came here, but I didn't tell you why Fukuoka is so great. I'll do that in another video. So stay tuned. I'm going to do the video tour video. I'm going to upload that next. So thanks for coming back to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe down below for future videos. Please leave me a comment. Say hello if you've been watching my videos for so many years. I know I look a lot different than I did 10 years ago when I first started making a lot of videos on this YouTube channel to document and blog about my life of teaching English and living in Asia. Of course, give me a thumbs up if you like this video, if you like my content. See you again in the next video. Take care.